The episode begins with the Demon King when he and Charlotte are heading to the magical animal park in Uno. He tells her that this place is very beautiful and that he has always dreamed of visiting it. They then see these massive and majestic animals, including magical dolphins and swan-like birds. Afterward, Charlotte talks to Alan, being very shy because she doesn't want to upset him and wants him to be happy in his true nature. Alan reassures her that it's okay, and he will be very happy when she is happy. Charlotte then spots a small creature in the picture and points at it, still very shy because she wants to go there but can't bring herself to speak. Alan takes the brochure from her and understands that she wants to go there. She tells him that she has always loved this place when she was a child. Alan tells her that it's okay, and they should enjoy their time to the fullest, like two little children, without caring about what others think. Alan goes to buy her some things, but she calls him and tells him that she didn't ask for anything. In this case, he gets very angry and threatens to use the death curse on her. She's very afraid and agrees to buy some things, like the hairpins she now holds in her hand. From Alan's perspective, she told him that they are hairpins, and she will take two so they can wear them together. At this moment, Alan's face turns red because he's a man, and how can he wear women's accessories? Charlotte is very saddened and tells him that in this case, it will upset her because he just told her a while ago that they would do anything to return to their childhood state, as if they were children. At this time, Alan didn't hesitate and handed over 2 metal pieces to the vendor to buy those items. Then, the scene shifted to a giant man accompanied by some animals, which appeared to be wild wolves. They seemed to be preparing for a fight, but we still didn't know much about them. The scene then switched back to Charlotte and Alan, who were wearing their masks and strolling in the garden. They arrived at a place filled with rabbits and sheep. When Alan saw a sign that mentioned water hogs, he was shocked because these were extremely fierce magical creatures capable of destroying a whole mountain when hungry. At that moment, a girl with large ears approached him and assured him that these creatures were currently resting deep in the forest and posed no threat. Alan was relieved and thanked her for her concern. When he turned to Charlotte, he was surprised to see her looking very angry and speaking in strange and incomprehensible words. He even thought she might have gone insane. He quickly ran to check on her, but she was talking rapidly and her expressions were odd to the point that Alan thought she might be losing her mind. Then, she thanked Alan for being with her and promised to fulfill all his requests. Alan wiped her tears and realized that she was happy because she could play with the small animals. When Alan learned how much Charlotte loved animals, he went to talk to 2 rabbits, but they were very surprised because he was speaking the language of magical beings. Alan told them he had a basic knowledge of the language of magical creatures and asked how they could help him as humans. The rabbits agreed to play with Charlotte in exchange for their favorite food. Alan then called Charlotte, but to his surprise, there were animals all around her, and they had all taken a liking to her. They approached her, and everyone watched in amazement, wondering who this girl was who had gained such popularity among magical beings. The scene then switched back to Charlotte and Alan sitting together. Charlotte told him she had a great time and was very happy. Then, all the animals gathered around her again, and she had become their friend very easily, even though she didn't understand what they were saying. When Alan translated their words, he realized that they were very jealous of Charlotte. Alan was quite surprised but kept his thoughts to himself for a moment. He remembered seeing a similar situation when he found the girl in a state of unconsciousness with some animals beside her. Then Alan stood up, wanting to tell her something. He explained to Charlotte that there were many skills, including magic and other abilities, and that some people use their talents to deceive others. However, he clarified that he never deceived people and was always ready to help them in any way he could. He demonstrated his skill by conjuring a large crystal and using nonverbal communication, which was considered a high-level skill. He then mentioned that Charlotte had a great talent as an animal tamer, allowing her to handle magical creatures effortlessly with just a little training. Alan remembered when he was in the village, wondering how Charlotte had become so popular with the city. He realized that magical creature tamers like her could even tame high-level beings like the Venereer. Lost in his thoughts, the red-haired girl with the large ears approached him in a hurry, her face showing great tension. She had seen them earlier with the magical creatures and thought they were renowned magical creature tamers. At this moment, Alan looked at her and asked, "What's the matter, young lady? Has something happened?" The girl took Alan's hand and asked for his help because they didn't know what they should do now. The scene then shifted to the two of them inside a large building where some people were present. A man in a white robe appeared, and he seemed puzzled by Alan and Charlotte's presence, as they looked quite young. When he focused on Alan again, he was quite amazed and said, "Could it be that you're a member of the Corford family?" Alan confirmed that it was true, and the man asked if they had met before. Alan recalled attending an open lecture at the Athenian Academy of Magic, and the other members were surprised to hear that he was indeed a member of the important Corford family. The man introduced himself as the director of the magical garden and requested Alan's assistance. When Alan inquired about the matter, the man led him to a large area within the garden containing some formidable magical creatures. Then we see the furious Venereer, heavily wounded and seemingly separated from its family due to illegal hunting. This serious injury was inflicted on it by an illegal poacher. Alan thought about how magical creatures like the Venereer were threatened with extinction, and anyone caught harming them was subject to severe punishment, including imprisonment. Yet, the hunting continued because their fur and bones were used in the creation of magical equipment and weapons. The director explained that this was the first time they had managed to capture a Venereer, but nobody could communicate with it. This made it difficult to approach the creature to treat its injuries. At this moment, the Venereer refused to listen to Alan, and the director informed him that it had been in this state since it arrived. It was malnourished, and they couldn't do anything for it at the moment. Alan then asked if they had experienced animal tamers on their staff who could deal with such a beast, and the director replied that they lacked skilled tamers to handle this particular creature. Alan decided to do whatever he could to help the Venereer. Just then, an employee approached them and informed them of a problem. The Venereer's mother was heading towards them, and everyone was afraid because they had used a trace removal spell when they found the injured Venereer. It was impossible for her to know their location unless she was a high-level being. She had been present for more than a century. Alan reflected that the Venereer was not just known for its rarity, but also for its tremendous power. For a Venereer like her, over a century of age, eradicating the entire city would be effortless. He also considered the idea of reuniting the Venereer with its son, but realized that they were merely kidnappers in her eyes. The employee informed Alan that they had not yet treated the Venereer's injuries, and releasing it in its current condition was highly dangerous. They were also deeply concerned about the mother's reaction when she saw her son in such a state. Alan told them that he had a single solution, which was to go and speak with the mother to gain her understanding. However, the other tamers were extremely frightened by his suggestion, as it was not an easy task. Alan was determined to do it himself. Alan responded to them, reassuring them not to worry as this was his expertise. He then asked everyone to evacuate the guests from the park as a precaution. They all obeyed and went to do so. Alan asked Charlotte to accompany them, but she refused, reminding him that she had previously mentioned that she might have a talent for taming magical creatures. However, Alan refused to let her join in this dangerous battle. She insisted, unable to stand idly by without doing anything, and claimed she would escape if she felt in danger. Then she asked him to speak to the little Fenrir, and the park manager and the employee agreed. Alan reflected on how in the past, if he had rejected her request, she would have backed down from taming the park's animals. When he first met her, she was more like a doll, but now she was willing to fight for someone else. He agreed to let her have her way so that the little Fenrir could receive the treatment needed for recovery. Alan then spoke to the park manager, asking him to allow Charlotte to communicate with the little Fenrir since she possessed the talent for taming magical creatures. The manager agreed, as there was no other choice for them anyway. Now, for the first time, Alan and his friend Charlotte cooperated in a mission. Charlotte went to the little Fenrir, and Alan went to stop its mother, albeit reluctantly. After that, we moved to Masha and Erica at the hotel by the hot spring, enjoying the beautiful and serene atmosphere. Suddenly, a security announcement warns everyone in the bathhouse that a Finrer is approaching, urging them to evacuate and go to a safe place immediately. Erika is upset that this will ruin their vacation, but Masha reassures her that the Lord of Demons is on their side, so they are safe now. Masha is not finished with her words when Alan appears from behind, which was quite expected that they would be here. He tells the girls that he knows they were following them, but this is perfect because he wants to help them now. Next, we move to a large group of Finrers heading angrily towards the park. Alan stands above to watch them, as it is believed that seeing Finrers brings good luck. If that is true, he must be extraordinary now. After a moment of contemplation, he decides to create a barrier around the resort since he can do so, which will protect everyone inside Unoha Resort. This will also buy some time for Charlotte to finish convincing the little Finrer. He then uses his ice magic to immobilize the Finrers, keeping them suspended for a while. While doing so, he wonders about the small Finrer's father, who is with them. Suddenly, the ground splits, and the mother of the little Finrer appears. Alan realizes that this is the mother and tries to avoid being eaten by her. He manages to escape her attack with his magical defense in the nick of time. He then uses his magic to temporarily immobilize her and attempts to communicate with her, but she refuses to listen and tries to strike him in any way possible, destroying anything in her path. Alan falls to the ground, not knowing what to do, but he has no choice but to resort to this. Suddenly, a magical creature appears to him and tells him that if he kills the little Finrer, it will never reunite with its mother, which would greatly sadden her. Alan then learns that this creature is a water hog from the abyss, which is the name of their kind. The creature continues to speak and reveals its name, Gosetsu. Alan is surprised by this encounter and asks Gosetsu what he wants from him. Gosetsu explains that his goal is to save the lady Alan has been forced to stay by, but Alan doesn't understand what he means. Gosetsu shares a brief story with him, stating that after sneaking out of the magical garden and exploring various places, he met Charlotte. He realized that he must do anything for her but didn't know how to save her. He appeared when Alan rescued her, as he had uncovered the false rumors about Charlotte and found it impossible for that beautiful lady to be an evil woman. She grew more determined after observing her life afterward and realizing that Alan had to be eliminated to protect Charlotte. He launches a powerful fireball attack at Alan, who is surprised by its strength, but he expected such power from a water hog from the abyss. The water hog tries to pounce on him, telling Alan that he's wasting his time with Charlotte without trying to save her. Alan evades the attack and strikes the water hog with a powerful fireball. They both descend below to fight away from the Finrers. Suddenly, the water hog attempts to unleash his sealed power to defeat Alan and then destroy the kingdom of Neros. Alan asks if this will make Charlotte happy, and the water hog informs him that he will turn the land to ashes, showing heaps of corpses and rivers of blood. Alan cannot bring himself to intervene, and suddenly, the sealed power within the water hog emerges. He tells the Finrers that he took their offspring, and Alan realizes that he was the one behind the manipulation of the Finrers. Alan is unable to fight the water hog and the Finrer army since even facing them at full strength may not guarantee his safety. Suddenly, flying creatures appear, and then Charlotte arrives with all the animals she tamed, the ones she loved. She managed to treat the little Finrer and convince it to accept treatment. Alan is astonished by what she has done and expresses his joy, telling Charlotte that she has become someone he can rely on. Charlotte is thrilled by this, and he asks her what they will do with the other animals. She explains that she tried to catch up with him, but they express concern about her. Alan asks if she understands their language, and Charlotte replies that it's not perfect, but she understands what they are trying to say. In his thoughts, Alan reflects on how it took him half a year to master the initial language of magical creatures and receive proper training. He realizes that Charlotte has become a powerful magical creature tamer, enough to stand by his side. He asks her if she knows what is happening between the little Finrer and its mother. Charlotte tells him that she does know what's going on between them. The Finrer's father believed that he was a hunter and had lied to her. He was the sinister water hog who had manipulated her with that falsehood. Then the water hog asked Charlotte to leave that man immediately and accompany him because that man will bring her a lot of sorrow. She had to flee her homeland, and instead of seeking revenge for her, he is leading her down the path of corruption. Charlotte tells him that it's not true. Alan-san has given her a peaceful life without fearing anything, and she's finally able to live thanks to him. She won't forgive him for speaking ill of him. This infuriates the water hog, and he tells her that he'll be able to save her properly, and it seems he might have to take her by force. Alan requests Charlotte to step back, surprising the water hog. He then launches an attack on Alan with several fireballs, but Alan manages to evade them. The water hog tells him that he considered invading her land multiple times but waited for her to decide what she wanted. Her way would only cause harm to Charlotte. They both take to the air and engage in a powerful battle, but Alan is much stronger. He delivers a powerful blow that sends the water hog crashing to the ground, defeating him. Alan believes that the blow was too powerful and uses healing magic on the water hog to help him regain consciousness. The water hog then apologizes for all the trouble he caused. On another note, the scene transitions to the employee who thanks both of them for saving the Finra creature. She tells them they did it, but the credit goes to her. Charlotte feels embarrassed and explains that it was the park employees who treated the Finra's injuries, not her. She only spoke to the little one. Alan tells her that if she hadn't done that, things wouldn't have gone well, so she should be proud of herself. The employee thanks Charlotte, and Charlotte tells her they can now see the Finras running around happily, which Alan is proud of as well. The employee then informs them that their carriage is ready. Charlotte thanks Alan for everything. Suddenly, the Finra creatures approach, and the employee is surprised to see them up close for the first time in 200 years. The little Finra, the one Charlotte spoke to before, approaches Charlotte to bid them farewell. In a hushed tone, Charlotte tells Alan that she almost forgot about the hunters who injured the Finras. The employee reassures them that they've captured the hunters, so there's no need to worry. Suddenly, we see Erica and Masha at the resort, and Charlotte asks them to capture the hunters. Charlotte is thrilled, but not surprised, to see them here. The two girls are shocked and unable to respond, and Alan reveals the faces of some of the hunters. They react with anger and threaten to make them pay, saying they'll capture them next time and sell them at a high price. Alan becomes angry with them because they show no remorse for their actions. Suddenly, the Finra creatures appear with intense anger and a desire to attack the hunters. However, Alan tells them not to worry because he has boosted their defense with his magic. The Finra creatures have become playful, running around and attacking the hunters. Everyone is shocked by the scene. And with that, our episode today comes to an end. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes.